Welcome to the Denton Peterson Dunn podcast. We provide a guide for you to succeed in all your business law matters. Our attorneys have been serving clients in the greater Phoenix area since 1995. Denton Peterson Dunn has the legal expertise you need to successfully operate in the complex realm of business law. This podcast series is reviewed and approved by attorney Brad Denton.
In this episode, our Arizona's leading business attorneys explain how to apply your law firm for an ABS license. The Arizona Supreme Court recently amended the rules of professional conduct, which regulate the legal profession in Arizona in a major way. Under the new rules, starting in 2021, non-lawyers, individuals not licensed to practice law in Arizona, are now allowed to have an ownership interest in legal partnerships or businesses providing legal services for which a license to practice law would normally be required. This means that investors, entrepreneurs, or other individuals interested in getting into the legal market but previously barred by licensing, requirements, and the rules of professional conduct are now allowed to participate in the providing of legal services in Arizona. As should be expected in such a highly regulated profession, however, there's a catch. For an entity owned in whole or in part by a non-lawyer to be allowed to provide legal services in Arizona, that entity must obtain a license from the Arizona Supreme Court to operate as an alternative business structure. According to the Supreme Court, this is to ensure that those providing legal services in Arizona are providing them in compliance with the ethical and professional rules governing the legal profession. The regulation of alternative business structures, or ABS, is governed by Section 7209 of the Code of Judicial Administration. Section 7209 outlines the application requirements for an entity to become licensed as an ABS by the Arizona Supreme Court. Because the new ABS designation and licensing process is so new in Arizona, it's not yet clear exactly how the application process will operate in practice. However, based on Section 7209 and the application for license of alternative business structure, here's what is necessary to get licensed as an ABS. Number 1. The entity needs to be authorized by the Arizona Supreme Court to do business. Not surprisingly, the Arizona Supreme Court requires that an entity seeking a license to operate as an ABS be authorized to transact business in Arizona. According to Section 7209 of Arizona CJA, each applicant for licensure as an ABS must submit articles of incorporation and letters of good standing from the Arizona Corporation Commission, or otherwise demonstrate authorization to do business in the state of Arizona. Although the application form for license of ABS shows an option to indicate that the entity is not registered to do business in Arizona, such an answer must be accompanied by an explanation as to why the entity is not registered. It's unclear at this point what explanations might be sufficient to warrant the issuing of an ABS license to a non-registered entity. In any event, registering to do business in Arizona can be a straightforward process, and it is probably a good idea to register prior to application for an ABS license. 2. The entity is required to have a designated compliance lawyer. As an ABS, an entity is required to comply with the rules and regulations governing any other licensed provider of legal services within the state of Arizona, like licensed attorneys. To that end, the Arizona Supreme Court requires that each ABS have a designated compliance lawyer, an attorney in charge of overseeing the entity's compliance with ethical and professional rules regulating the provision of legal services. Pursuant to Section 7209, a compliance lawyer shall. The compliance lawyer is tasked with ensuring compliance by lawyers in the ABS with all ethical and professional responsibilities. Additionally, the compliance lawyer is responsible for ensuring the ABS's authorized persons and others employed and associated with the ABS comply with these rules and do not cause or substantially contribute to a breach of the regulations governing legal service providers in Arizona. 3. The entity and all authorized persons must meet certain ethical and other standards to be a part of Arizona's legal profession. According to Section 7209, when determining whether to grant ABS licenses, the licensing committee is to take into consideration the following regulatory objectives: protecting and promoting the public interest, promoting access to legal services, advancing the administration of justice and the rule of law, encouraging an independent, strong, diverse, and effective legal profession, and promoting and maintaining adherence to professional principles. As part of these considerations, the ABS and each authorized person thereof can expect to be investigated by the committee to determine their fitness to be part of Arizona's legal profession. Standard questions found on the ABS application form have to do with past acts of the entity, designated principal, compliance lawyer, and any authorized persons. Examples include past criminal conduct, past fraudulent behavior or misrepresentations, loss of or discipline against any professional licenses, and other standard background questions. 4. The legal entity must have policies in place to ensure compliance with all professionalism and ethical standards. As an ABS, an entity is part of the legal profession in Arizona. As such, the entity is bound by the rules that govern the legal profession in the state. When applying for licensing as an ABS, an entity must demonstrate that it has implemented policies and procedures that ensure compliance with these rules and that allow for full compliance with these rules by the ABS's compliance lawyer. For example, entities applying for ABS licensing must explain how they will comply with Arizona trust account rules, how the business will comply with Arizona's rules of professional conduct for lawyers, code of conduct for entities and for owners and managers, what policies and procedures have been implemented for the protection of client information and confidentiality, what policies and procedures have been implemented for checking conflicts of interest, and what policies and procedures have been implemented to ensure the confidentiality of client records. 5. The entity needs to pay an application fee to the Arizona Supreme Court and a renewal fee every year. Finally, every application for an ABS license must be accompanied by an application fee payable to the Arizona Supreme Court in the amount of $6,000. The ABS license must also be renewed annually, and renewal includes a $3,000 renewal fee. Applications will not be considered without the accompanying fee. 6. Contact experienced attorneys in Scottsdale to maximize your chances of an ABS license with the Arizona Supreme Court. Although the new rules allowing for the licensing of entities as ABS in Arizona is considered a step towards less stringent regulation of the legal profession, those entities that obtain ABS status and the application process relating to ABS status are still highly regulated by the Arizona Supreme Court. Considering the high level of self-regulating within the legal profession, this is not surprising. Furthermore, since the ABS designation and licensing process is still brand new, it's very likely that changes to the process will be made as the idea works through its growing pains. Remember, if you need more information on how to apply your law firm for an ABS license, get in touch with our experienced business lawyers today. If you are contemplating starting an ABS or would like to license an existing entity as an ABS, the business attorneys at Denton Peterson Dunn can help you navigate the process to help maximize your chances of successful licensing with the Arizona Supreme Court. Call Denton Peterson Dunn at 480-325-9900 or visit us online at arizonabusinesslawyeraz.com.
Thank you for listening to the Denton Peterson Dunn podcast. Our first priority is your success. We help create corporations and LLCs, draft and negotiate contracts, deal with employment issues, and analyze franchises. Should you need assistance with your business legal issues, contact the experienced attorneys at Denton Peterson Dunn today.